The CCTV, the National CCTV System project was conceived in 2017 as a measure of enhancing the detection and prevention of crime. The implementation started in 2018, specifically 28th May of that year, with phase 1 that covered Kampala Metropolitan Policing Area and phase 2 that covered all municipalities, highways, and major towns. The 2 phases were fully implemented. Phase 3 is yet to commence. Introduction. The Uganda Police Force is yet to begin. There's a typo there. We haven't yet begun to implement CCTV phase 3 after completing phase 1 and 2. This phase addresses remaining gaps in the Kampala metropolitan area and other regions, and would focus on improving system operations, maintenance, and upgrading existing CCTV infrastructure. During oversight visits, the committee noted concerns about malfunctioning cameras that hinder crime prevention. This inquiry evaluates the performance of phase 1 and 2 and examines the implementation progress and challenges of phase 3. Response. The cameras are operating normally with performance average ranging between 85% to 95%. Some districts achieve 100%. The implementation of phase 3 has not commenced because funds have not been secured. Issues for phase 1 and 2. Financial performance, approved budget and supplementary appropriation. The committee requires a detailed breakdown of the approved budget for phase 1 and 2, including any supplementary appropriations provided to meet unforeseen costs. Our response, Chair and honorable members, is that the budget appropriation was as follows. A, phase 1 was budgeted at USD 82,756,809.1, and phase 2 was budgeted at USD 37,520,876.83. There was no supplementary budget provided during implementation. 2, related budget and warrants. The committee seeks to assess whether the allocated budget was released in full and whether the release of funds was timely. This includes an analysis of budget warrants issued for implementation of phase 1 and 2. Our response is that the project was facilitated using a loan. Funds were always available for timely execution of the project. That is why the project was implemented in the exact planned timelines. Secondly, budget expenditure. Regarding budget expenditure, a report on the actual expenditure incurred for the implementation of these phases is required. This includes details on whether funds were spent efficiently with clear justification for any variations. The response is that all the funds were clearly spent efficiently and there was no variations from original budget. This was because the designs were well done and risks assessed properly. The minor risks that occurred had no implication on the budget. Areas and districts implemented. The committee requests a comprehensive list of the areas and districts where CCTV systems were deployed under phase 1 and 2, and this should highlight whether the key areas prone to crime were covered, as well as any areas left unaddressed. Our response, Honorable Chair and members, is that the CCTV system cameras covered all the KMP 19 policing divisions for phase 1 and all municipalities, including Masaka, Mbarara, Ntungamo, Kabale, Chisoro, Rukunjiri, Bushenyi, Kasese, Fort Portal, Mubende, Mitiana, Hoima, Masindi, Arua, Gulu, Kitgum, Lira, Soroti, Moroto, Mbale, Kapchora, Tororo, Iganga, Kamuli, Jinja, as well as major towns and highways. The sites were majorly placed in areas prone to crime, like markets and junctions, as points unavoidable to pass. Details are on page 10 of this report. Chair and honorable members, Contributions to crime reduction and public safety. An assessment is needed to evaluate how effective the CCTV system was in meeting the intended goals, such as reducing crime, enhancing public safety, and preventing incidents. Data on crime rate before and after implementation in the monitored areas should be considered to determine its impact. Our response: since implementation of the CCTV system in 2018, 42,427 operation and intelligence-led incidents have been managed. 6,688 cases underwent thorough investigations with the aid of footages got from the CCTV as follows. 1,000 are under trial, 168 were acquittals, 729 were convicted successfully, and then 4,385 were handed over to the investigation officers. The details of the incidents are on pages 19 to 24 of the main report. This includes evaluating response times, coordination with law enforcement, and overall effectiveness in addressing incidents captured on the CCTV system. Response: the response to incidents is categorized as mean time to detect, mean time to acknowledge, mean time to contain, and mean time to recover. The response to receiving the emergency is at 30 seconds and mean time to respond is at 15 minutes. Details are on pages 29 to 33 of the main report. Generally, the response to real-time monitoring is averaged at 20 minutes because of good coordination with territorial police and field intelligence teams. 4, issues on response on implementation of CCTV Phase 3 project. Right, Chair and honorable members, it should be noted that the Phase 3 has not been implemented because designs are in final stages and hence the budget is not yet approved. Financial performance. The committee seeks a detailed financial report covering the following: the approved budget for Phase 2, 3, and any supplementary appropriations, 2 released budget and budget variation warrants for the implementation of Phase 3, 3 budget expenditures and analysis of whether they are aligned with the intended scope and timelines. Our response is as follows. There's no approved budget for Phase 3. The approval is expected in the calendar year 2025. Needs assessment. An evaluation of the security requirements for areas targeted by Phase 3 is necessary. This includes an analysis of crime rates in the specific areas identified for CCTV installation, 2, threats, vulnerabilities, and the urgency of security interventions in these areas. Response. Phase 3 of the CCTV project aims at addressing gaps identified in Phase 1 and 2 through the following ways. 1, expanding CCTV coverage to increase camera density and reduce blind spots. 2, onboarding of social cameras. 3, introduction of body-worn cameras. 4, expansion of the mobile event monitoring cameras and command vehicles. 5, enhancing data center capacity to support growing storage and processing needs. 6, extending the network and fiber infrastructure to cover new cities. 7, upgrading existing core regional call centers and establishing new regional call centers. Then modernizing and monitoring centers at police stations with alternative storage solutions and implementing hybrid power grid systems to mitigate power outage challenges. Then implementation of the Security Operating Center, implementing of unmanned aerial surveillance vehicles, expansion of digital mobile radio DMR communication system, and training and capacity building. The details are on pages 44 to 49 of the main report. Chair and members, system design. The committee needs an assessment of the quality and efficiency of the CCTV system design, and this should include camera specs, e.g. resolution, type, and their suitability for the intended environments. 2, Placement of cameras to ensure comprehensive coverage of high-risk areas. 3, integration with other security systems, e.g. Information Transport System, ITMS. Our response, Chair and members, is that the camera specifications are well defined, architecture aligned, and storage cell calculated. The placement of sites is coordinated, oriented, and identified by area operations, police, and intelligence officers. The integration is already catered for in the current system, therefore it will be continuation. Details of the designs are on pages 48-54 of the main report. Risk management. A detailed evaluation of the potential risks during installation and operational phases must be provided, and this includes system performance issues and strategies to address them, identification of cybersecurity vulnerabilities, compatibility with existing infrastructure, including power supply, network connectivity, and other technical considerations. Our response is that the risks range from connectivity to system management, which include internal and external attacks. These risks and mitigations have been detailed on pages 55-61 of the main report.
Why are they hiding? Is it part of the directives you give to them to hide the identity?
We have rules of engagement written down, even dress code, even everything. It's like having
say and riot.
No, having a house but you go the extra mile of putting on a lock, because people are not saints. People make mistakes. What I want to say, Honorable Chiwanuka, is that we are having a conversation, and across the board, not just the security forces in this country. Responsible behavior. Responsible behavior. You know, even civilians may be becoming defiant. You know, people no longer have respect. So I think we need a deeper conversation beyond incidents to ensure that everybody does his work and does it the way it should be done. Everybody behaves the way. Because you can't also offend the law with reckless abandon and then expect somebody, the other side, to sometimes behave reasonably. Maybe now you get a clash of of very extreme people, and this is a boiling point. So I think we need a deeper conversation about these things.
Honorable Minister, Chair.
But you need to assure the country that your cameras have capacity to detect face of a criminal, whether hooded or not hooded. 2, facial recognition, because you mentioned facial reconstruction. Whether the cameras have capacity to detect a covered face, can clearly identify if somebody turns up. These criminals are equally clever. 2, we have had incidences of the main grid going off, power outages. Does that affect your cameras, or the cameras have inbuilt capacity for power to keep running power outages or no outages? And is this the case throughout the country? Thank you. Honorable colleagues, please. Honorable Case.
Is happening in this country, and Ugandans are asking that as we promised them that when we put these cameras in place, we shall indeed come to the bottom of all this criminality happening in the country. But time and again, we continue seeing this, and actually our people out there still continue asking for these reports. We don't come out to clearly say these cameras have helped us. In the case of this, these are the culprits. In the case of this, these are the culprits. So, Chair, when you go, we look at this camera, I want to ask whether these cameras are networked and that data is sent directly to the headquarters, and that the officers who are linked, that these cameras are linked to officers, to police station for better results. It is important. Even the deputy director and the director of criminal intelligence, if we had actually a robust CCTV system, we wouldn't be having all these cases. And Chair, I think it is also prudent as a committee to tell our police that before us thinking about going to other places, we should have really secured this city called Kampala. Chair, in this city and metropolitan as a whole, we have areas without the CCTV cameras. And we moved as a committee, indeed, much as you report the efficiency of the cameras, but most of the cameras were not working. So we want to know that as we moved in the field to really assess the functionality of these cameras, to date, whether these cameras have been repaired and therefore all of them are working.
Indicate that the performance of cameras is between 85 to 95. Or to some extent in some districts 100. This makes me raise a question to what extent this could be true. In 2023, Rukunjiri in particular, Rubabo County, Nyarushanje Sub-County, Buganga Parish, one person called Tudiamuleva Deus was kidnapped at that time. And according to what I got from the DPC from Rukunjiri district, he was briefly seen by the camera in Impiji just here. Now, this makes me raise a question whether it is possible that somebody is kidnapped from Rukunjiri, is driven all the way from Rukunjiri to Mpiji, and the cameras from Rukunjiri up to Mpiji are unable to see the vehicle because he was kidnapped with his vehicle. To date, that person, to Diamuleva Deus, to be particular, for it to make record clear, to Diamuleva Deus has never been seen, and his vehicle has never been seen. Now, it makes me, those areas are not in the courtyard of the superintendent of traffic, Afande Nwabine, he knows those areas. It makes me raise a question whether the performance actually is 85 to 95, as you state, if a person can be kidnapped by unknown people from Rukunjira and he is briefly seen by a camera in Mpiji. What happened to the cameras between Mpiji and Rukunjira distance?
Honorable Chair, I happen to be one of the victims in the hands of police in Kawempe, wherein IGP or DPC called Matovu of Kawempe ordered JATT to assault, batter, kicked and slapped me. I have had several of my colleagues and several Ugandans having gone through the same. And for the sake of the DPC of Wandegea, I have heard that some actions are being taken. I want to know whether it is a collective action being taken against all police officers who were involved in battering and killing and assaulting Ugandans in Kawempe, or it is a selective action, or it only requires us to take action like the one we took in 2017 against Nanoka and the then IGP. You remember very well because I spearheaded that we need to do that, or an action is being taken against those police officers, or it is a selective action being taken. That is issue number one. Issue number two, Mr. IGP, still around that. Are you the one who sanctioned JATT to do all those actions which he did, or you are not in control of them? And if you are not in control, who is in control of the JATT in Kawempe? Thank you.
In the country that the cameras have capacity to detect a covered face. I don't want to hazard an answer here. The technical people will help us on what it can do. But what I know is that it can identify someone, but it may not identify a hooded person. And this system is also complementary to other force multipliers. Because if you are covered, your face is covered, you still will use the road desirably which is covered. Maybe you are in a vehicle which is numbered. So there are other complementary factors which may help finally to track you down, just in case your face is not identifiable. But the technical people will help on the detail of how effective the cameras are and how far they go in identifying people who engage in mischief and team. And then lastly, Honorable Abdallah, DPC Matovu slapped him, and then in front of the cameras, I think IGP, you can start from there. But of course, we apply professional standards across the board. So if indeed he did what you say he did, it will be verified and action will be taken. Honorable Chiwanuka, and gladly you have said so when the police chiefs are here, and action will be taken against that officer, if indeed he did what you say he did. JATT is part of the security infrastructure. Internal security is led by the police, where other forces are involved other than the police, the military or intelligence services. They do so within the coordinated framework of the police and the joint operations that we have. Where they go, they do excesses, or even our police officers engage in excesses, then the law must apply, because we give them rules of engagement, we give them SOPs to follow. So I would rather we go to why people behave the way they do, but not why they get involved. We are part of security, but if somebody is errant, then action should be taken against them. I thank you, Chair. Now I call upon the IGP to reinforce me and the team.
Minister, something. We are talking about integrity of these officers in the control rooms, but also consider payment. If somebody is less paid, there will be no integrity. I think the last person who interacted was talking about very little figures on how much they earn. If you make
I'm in charge of the police. I think that's the answer. I'm tasked to command and administer the police by the constitution of this country, but equally I'm tasked in my tasks to work with other agencies in order to ensure security and safety of the people of Uganda. What I could add on this is that we don't take any indiscipline lightly. Whatever happened contravening the laws is regrettable, and the action you have also mentioned, the processes are already going on, and we shall not favor anybody, and the law will take its course.